Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever, wherever you are watching this. My name is Marcus Octavius, and you are in the Foxhole. I have a bit of an announcement to make, but first, we are still in summertime, and the living is definitely not easy. It depends on who you ask. There's been a lot of conversation as to is it safe to go back? Is it safe to do this? Is it safe to go back? Numbers as far as the coronavirus are concerned seem to be dropping. I'm I'm cautiously optimistic, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we can all get through this. So just, of course, wear your mask, maintain your 6 feet, be safe, be clear. We all get through this together and get on the other side and get back to hugging and kissing and doing whatever it is we all choose to do. Um, One announcement I'd like to make is that the Shore Leave Weekend is coming back. The Shore Leave Weekend is basically when I drop 3 pieces of content in one weekend, and it's going to be Labor Day weekend. The last one was 4th of July. Seems like a good holiday type thing. So that's the way it's going to go down. And if you've never been a part of it before, I drop a playlist on Friday night, I drop a playlist on Saturday night, and I drop a piece of original content on Sunday. The Shore Leave Weekend will consist of course, a Foxhole special assignment on Friday night, and that's when I drop 20 videos that have a specific theme, a specific genre, or just a specific decade. And this one is tribal and such. I've accumulated over the years quite a bit of music of an international flavor, of a more traditional flavor, things that have, drums and more traditional sounds, drums, flutes, acoustic guitars, things of that nature. So that's what I'm going to do come Labor Day weekend, is drop a Foxhole special assignment that's going to be geared towards Arabic music, African music, traditional sounds out of the British Isles, if I can find it, more traditional stuff from the Far East, and things of that nature, and perhaps even some fusion type work. Think, if you remember the touring group Celtic Women, the male counterpart Celtic Thunder, think along those lines. Also, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, who is on the list this week, is definitely one that will be featured in this upcoming playlist, Labor Day weekend. Shore Leave After Dark, which is the special edition of the Foxhole playlist, is of course going to be geared towards EBM, EDM, industrial, techno. It's going to have a heavy dance vibe to it, which of course was the original goal of this, and I just expanded it out. And Sunday will be a Foxhole Directive, which is when I give my personal thoughts and opinions on certain things that I have experienced, or even leave like an instructional video. And this one, I'm finally going to spit it out because it's a personal favorite of mine, and that's African versus Arabic drums. The sound, the shape, the size. I'm even going to throw in a few more traditional, excuse me, percussion instruments in there, and describe the background for them. So keep your eye out for it. Labor Day weekend, another Shore Leave weekend, a Foxhole special assignment, tribal and such, Shore Leave After Dark, the special edition of Foxhole, and African versus Arabic drums on Sunday night. Now let's get to the list. The Cramps, 10,000 Maniacs, Black Joe Lewis, Arrested, not Arrestive, Arrested Development, and Apollo 440 all jumping back into the Foxhole. And as sort of an appetite inducer, I've thrown some bits and pieces of the tribal type music and the traditional type music into this playlist. And one I decided to cite out is Salif Keita, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, Mali-born Afro-pop singer. He is a traditional prince of Djoliba, which is a village in Mali. But unfortunately, he was cast out by his family because he was born an albino, which apparently among many tribes, including the Mandinka, and from what I understand, Africa as a whole, if you are born with albino, with a very light complexion, like very, very light complexion, it is considered a bad sign, a bad warning. It's a very traditionalistic sort of thing, but of course, a lot of us know better. that you're born the way you're born, which is not a bad thing at all. But he's made a very very big career out of being internationally acclaimed singer. He dropped his first album in '82. He dropped his farewell album in 2018, and in between that time, he's recorded over 21 albums. He's also made a career out of being a bit of a guest singer for a lot of different things. He was at the concert for Nelson Mandela's freedom when Nelson got out of Robin prison in the late 80s, early 90s. I can't remember the exact year. I apologize for that. But he also, and at this one I did not know, he sung at a tribute to Cole Porter. And what a lot of people who don't know who Cole Porter is, Cole Porter wrote a lot of what we would call American standards back in the early part of the 20th century, I believe the 20s and 30s. But Cole Porter was also it was discovered later that he was one of the first sort of big names in music that we believe was gay, actively gay, and he was also married at the time. I'll let you read more into that if you want to. I don't have the time to get into that whole thing. But yeah, he sung at a Cole Porter tribute for AIDS, which I thought was very, very good. So Salif Keita, you might know him if you saw the movie Ali. He contributed the song Tomorrow. It was featured very prominently in the movie. As a matter of fact, it was played towards the end of Ali's fight with, excuse me, not Frazier, but George Foreman. So Salif Keita in the Foxxhole this week. And speaking of foxes, John Fox, born Dennis Lee, excuse me, from England, is a new wave and synth artist, but he also does graphic designs. Some of you may know him as the original lead singer of Ultravox, who has been featured on the playlist before. He contributed as lead singer to 3 of their first albums, and then left, and Midge Urge, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, so many names, people, so many names, took over for those duties and led Ultravox into the 80s. To his credit, he has 16 albums. 7 of them are of original content. He also has 3 live albums. And speaking of names to pronounce, Ramen Jawadi, born in Duisburg, Germany, was born to a German mother and Iranian father. Now, the reason I put him in the playlist is because you may not know who he is, but you have heard his music before. He's contributed to over 100, count it, ladies and gentlemen, 100 soundtracks to movies and TV, including Westworld, Game of Thrones, Prison Break, Pacific Rim, Iron Man, and Warcraft. And that's just a tip of the iceberg. Big time name. He contributed a lot of music to one of my personal favorite shows that came out in the previous decade, Person of Interest. He has stayed very steady as a composer for music and TV. I picked out a selection from Blade 3 as the playlist entry this week. And my senior officer, of course, I'm always keeping an eye out for influential music from the 60s and 70s that influenced alternative sound from the 80s on up to now. And I picked out the Alan Parsons Project. Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson with session musicians galore. The Alan Parsons Project was at least officially a duo. They have 12 studio albums. They have been progressive rock mainstays. They've even contributed to a sort of folk pop album, as well as new wave. They are featured on over 23 compilations. Their most famous song is actually not even their biggest chart topper. It's called Sirius, and it's been featured just about everywhere. If you're a Chicago Bulls fan of the 90s, during the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen era, the Dynasty era they call it, it was used as entrance music for the basketball players. It was used as entrance music for professional wrestling legend Ricky Steamboat. The song has also been featured on Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and they also contributed, and I believe they helped to produce and engineer the soundtrack to the early 80s medieval fantasy movie Lady Hawk, that featured Matthew Broderick, Michelle Pfeiffer, both of them very, very young, as a matter of fact, and Rutger Hauer. So there's your senior officer for the week, Alan Parsons. Please like, share, subscribe. All the links are down here. My name is Marcus Octavius, and enjoy the list.